Hey, hello everybody. We are super excited to be bringing another episode to you. Who are we? We are the Family Gamers. As always, I am your host, Andrew, and I am joined by my lovely and wonderful co-host, Anitra.
That's me.
She's also my wife, just in case you forgot from the last episode. This week, Anitra, we have a topic that we've talked about before, in and out, and we've covered some of these games. Some of these we kind of looked at like askant a little bit. We're going to talk about junior games or my first games or something like that. Are these games worth it or not?
We're devoting a whole episode to this because the answer is sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's super authoritative. We know. But anyway, we're going to talk first half of the show about all the things we normally do. So, Anitra, I think we should get right into it.
Yes, let's do that.
All right. You, Anitra, are well-read.
Sure.
Have you ever heard of Darkmoor?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
That is the I've never heard of this, but I don't want to admit that I've never heard of this.
No, it sounds
thing.
Vaguely familiar. Like, have I probably encountered the term? Probably.
Okay. So Darkmoor it's a very kind of ethereal thing. Like, it's this conceptual village environment world where things happen in fantasy. RPGs might use Darkmoor as a land where things come from. It's this kind of like scary area. The town in Universal Studios where like all the Universal Studios monster stuff was.
Okay.
It's Darkmoor. It's called Darkmoor. Right. So it's that kind of like creepy, sort of spooky setting.
Okay.
Right. As an idea.
Sure.
So at Universal's Epic Universe, there's a rock that has the number 428 carved into it in Darkmoor.
Okay.
I'm guessing you don't know why.
Not a clue.
So I will go ahead and I will explain it to you. So when you go to a building and there's a number carved into the side of it, what does it typically mean?
I mean, usually it means a date.
Right. So in the fictional world of Darkmoor, 428 is the year in which this town was founded.
Okay. Obviously a European town then.
Coincidentally, maybe not coincidentally, I don't even know. Back in the 20s and 30s, there was a guy named Carl Laemmle. Carl Laemmle was the head of production at Universal Studios, and he was the guy who personally greenlit the original classic Universal Monsters movies, Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, etc. Right? These were the Universal Monsters. These are the ones that really created the foundation of the monster universe that we think of today.
Monster movies, yeah.
Right. His birthday is April 28th.
Ah, clever.
Right.
Clever.
So those are the two kind of facts wrapped around 428 as they relate to Darkmoor.
Cool.
That's it. That's what I got today.
I have a message from our sponsor. As a reminder, First Move Financial is working through a bunch of examples, letting us know how they would work with a young couple earning a combined $100,000, with a net worth of around $25,000, and the goals of buying a home and starting a family. While it isn't the highest priority for this pretend client, looking at and adjusting their investment allocation would still be important. We would first go over their risk tolerance and their risk capacity. If they were invested in a way that wouldn't let them sleep at night when the stock market is in freefall, then their portfolio is too aggressive. We would also want to make sure their investments don't have too high fees. We may not have much influence over this, with many workers' investments being in employer-sponsored plans, but this can also lead to discussions about future savings and making sure they're saving in the right accounts to have some tax diversification and saving appropriately so the money is available when it's needed without tax penalties. If this kind of perspective sounds helpful and you'd like something less generic, you too can book a free 15-minute call with First Move Financial at firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers and learn how they can help you invest wisely, even if you don't have a huge net worth.
Thanks so much to the team over at First Move Financial for continuing to support the Family Gamers podcast. We really, really appreciate it. All right, Anitra, there are a lot of asterisks in our notes today.
We played a lot of games that were new to us in the last 2 weeks.
Or at least games that have not yet been mentioned on the Family Gamers podcast. So the first one on this list is a game that I played a while ago, and it's the first time you've ever played it, and consequently the first time we've talked about it on the show.
Yes. This is the game Helsing.
Yeah.
So Helsing is originally a graphic novel series about a pig who is catapulted into being a monster hunter.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense to me. I don't
Perfect
understand why you're
sense.
making that face.
It's very silly. The graphic novel is not nearly as dark as you would think based on the content.
I mean, he's a pig?
Yeah.
He has animal friends?
Yeah, and there's nothing really graphic about how they take the monsters down.
Sure.
So this is a board game based on that series,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a cooperative game in which Ham and his friends are traveling around a map, taking down all kinds of little monsters, and also trying to take out whatever the one big boss monster is.
But it doesn't have to be a cooperative game. You can play it alone. You're Ham solo.
Boo.
Sorry. But you can play it.
You can play it.
But anyway.
The boss monster is the key to this game. You have to beat enough little ones to help you try to like level up and whatnot. But over the course of, I think it's 5 or 6 rounds, if you do not take out the boss monster, you lose. That's it.
It's got a kind of a fixed timer to it. But
Yes.
the game still takes about an hour, maybe a tiny bit more.
The setup takes a little while, so I think once you get used to doing the setup and used to the gameplay loop, it would probably take about an hour. Maybe slightly more.
I wonder if there is a 3D printed insert that would speed up the setup.
Maybe. It's not so much that the setup was disorganized. There's just several things that you need to set out.
Sure. And the neat thing about this game is that it's sort of a deck building game.
Well, it is a deck building game, but instead of traditional deck building where you are buying new cards and culling less helpful cards, in Ham Helsing, you are literally building up, upgrading the cards that are already in your starting deck.
Yes.
There's a little bit of being able to trade cards back and forth or get rid of cards by giving them to somebody else, but the vast majority of the game, the way you upgrade, the way you build your deck is to buy these transparent cards that slide into the card sleeve with the card you already have. You can buy multiple upgrades and end up applying them all to the same card as long as nothing overlaps or cancels out. And so it is really cool to watch your powers increase as you do that and kind of go in different directions. It felt much more video gamey in that aspect of it.
Yeah, I feel like you really come to love your character over the course of the game because you're watching your character grow instead of throwing out the old model to get the new one.
Or at least you come to love specific cards that you have.
Well,
You're like,
I mean, but those
like,
cards are the characters.
This card is even more awesome than it was before.
Right. I don't mean character like Ham himself, but like whatever those things are that you're upgrading, like that thing, you feel invested in those particular pieces. Yeah, that's a fun one. I definitely want to play some more of that with you guys because the one time I played it solo. All right, next game on the list is not a game we're necessarily planning on talking about later, but it is a junior game.
I mean, it'll probably get brought up.
It may come up. There's reasons why it may come up. Anyway, let's stop talking about reasons and start talking about games. Splendor Kids.
Yeah, so Splendor Kids is exactly what it sounds like. It's taking the mechanics that you see in Splendor and making them a little bit more approachable at a kid level. So instead of just you're trying to collect cards and whoever gets enough noble cards, triggers the end game, and then once the end game has happened, whoever has the most points on all their cards wins.
Well, it's the crowns. It's all about the crowns.
Yeah.
Yep.
Instead, in Splendor Kids, it is literally a board with a race to the top.
We'll talk about why that's important second half of the show. Because that particular change that you just mentioned is an important change. To make it a more approachable game for kids. Yeah, and we'll talk about why later.
But the rest of the mechanics you know from Splendor are still there. On your turn, you are taking either 3 tokens of different types, 2 tokens of the same type, or 1 gold. Or, instead of taking tokens, you are spending tokens to move up a specific path on the board. You almost always have multiple paths you can choose from, so it feels kind of like the building up gem tokens to get better cards. Instead, it's very specifically, I can go this path that needs 2 blacks and a brown and a red, or I can go this path that needs a brown and a red and a green and a blue. There are stops along the way where you can either go again or you can gain a permanent upgrade type thing. Overall, it felt very much like Splendor. I really kind of liked the race aspect to it, in part because the rules explicitly state that everyone who gets to the top on what ends up being the last round wins. Everybody wins. Not very likely to happen in a 2-player game, but you could have multiple winners in a 3 or 4-player game.
Sure. I enjoyed it as well. I don't think I enjoyed it well enough for us to keep it, especially since our youngest is 12, but it was good. It was well put together, and it had a lot of the same themes, which is what I appreciate.
It is a well-done kids game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Our next game on the list is a game that we played a bunch of times this week.
Yes.
The more I play it, the more I like it.
Yes.
This is the game The Four Doors.
Yeah, man, I really, really like this game. It feels like a little bit of a step back in time to when we were playing a lot more Pandemic and Forbidden Island and things like that, but streamlined.
Yeah, this game feels like kind of a return to form to me to Forbidden Island, which was really the one that sort of started this whole Forbidden series. I do think, like, if I'm really looking in the abstract, Forbidden Desert is probably my favorite of the Forbidden games.
I agree.
And then it really went downhill after that. Forbidden Sky, I really did not care for it. Conceptually, it was kind of cool. Forbidden Jungle really didn't capture my attention enough to even pick up a copy of it.
Yeah.
But I really liked The Four Doors. It really felt like they looked at everything that made Forbidden Island successful, and they kind of dug deep and did a little bit more with set collection on this one and added asymmetric player. Well, I guess they all had asymmetric player powers, but the way that it worked out, I love the fact that this is a deck of cards and some pawns, right? It's very portable.
Yes.
It's just well put together. I mean, it's Matt Leacock doing the Matt Leacock thing.
But now with help from Ben Pinchbeck and Matt Riddle.
Sure, that's true. That's true. Two Matts.
Yes.
Can you handle it?
Maybe.
Yeah, Four Doors is great. We've already got the review drafted for this one. This is a game from Happy Camper. Great game. Highly recommend it. It's $25 or something like that.
Yeah.
Four Doors.
Speaking of games that take a proven concept and shrink it down to a card game, we also learned Boop Shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
This is a brand new card game based on Boop. Most of the mechanics are still the same, but there are two mechanics that are big different. Biggest one, you are no longer just choosing one of your cats or kittens to place out on the board. The board looks a little different, but the idea is the same. Instead, you are flipping the top card of a deck. So it could be your kitten, could be your opponent's kitten. You don't know until you see it.
Or a cat, or there's special cats.
Right. And there's a blanket, which has special powers and all these other things. Mm-hmm. So it's a little bit harder to make your plans and be concrete about them because you don't know exactly when you're going to get a chance to get your kind of cat again.
Yep. This is a game that is a little bit more tactical, a little bit less strategic.
There's also more luck to it.
Yeah, but you can
not
mitigate.
A lot, but some.
Yes, because you don't know what the cards are that are
right.
going to come out. But that's what pivots from strategic to tactical.
Sure.
That's what that
sure.
is. So, I mean, I like it fine. My biggest complaint with this game is that there is no board, and it's kind of hard to line up the cards.
It can be a little bit,
It's just a little bit of a nuisance. But they do that so they can put it in a small box.
It is in a very small box,
yep.
which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I really liked about it is that luck aspect of drawing off the top of the deck
yep.
allows a more integrated introduction of special powers. Because there are multiple kinds of cats with special powers, and since some of them are a little bit better, some of them are a little bit worse, but you don't know until it comes up like, oh, I got this cat that's actually really bad for my opponent. Where can I put it to maximize its impact of being bad for them?
But the board's not so small that you can't kind of get things away.
Yeah, you can still
the main
work around it
of what's going on. So I don't find it too paralyzing when you get the card that you don't want. Right?
Yeah, it's not punishing.
Right. Punishing is a good word for it.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Next on the list is a game that I've talked about a few times. This is not an asterisked game on our list. This is the game Carnuta. So this is something we first saw at PAX Unplugged last year.
Mm-hmm.
The moment it became available to request for a review, I did. I love everything about this game. I know you don't really care about the theme. I like the art in this game. I love the set collection of this game. This has just a really nice kind of set collection where you're turning over tokens that are either sun or moon runes to basically acquire and then cast these spells, which are items that you have in front of you in your tableau. As you have more items, you unlock more runes that you can use.
Mm-hmm.
Not different runes, just more
spaces for runes.
Yeah, more spaces. And the scoring conditions are things like a card could be worth a certain number of victory points, or a card could say for every of this other type of card, you get a victory point, or like combinations. Like, so if you have 2 of this card, like 2 mushrooms and 1 black butterfly or whatever it is, like that combination is worth 4 points or whatever. So there's this constant playing around with the cards that you're drafting and the cards that you're putting down, because the cards that you're putting down aren't typically going to score for the thing that's on the card itself. It's going to score for other things. So there's a lot of weaving together. There are other games that have done this, and for some reason it's just like escaping my memory right now.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what some of these are off the top of your head.
I don't really remember.
Yeah. When we write it up, I'll do a little bit of actual research to remind myself.
I am not nearly as taken with this game as you are, but I do find it to be a very, very solid and like mechanically pleasing game. I like that scoring and the way things weave together. And I also like that the set collection is something where you have to spend resources, spend effort to get the sets that you want.
Yes.
Like, if that makes sense. It's not a blind draw, hope you get the right thing sort of set collection. It's I can plan things out a turn or two in advance to try to get what I need.
Yeah, so there's a central tableau of cards that you can draft into your hand, and you use the sun runes or the moon runes to cast those basically spells from your hand into your personal tableau. But the thing about it is sometimes you're discarding runes and other times you're flipping a rune over. So the rune plastic tokens have a sun on one side and a moon on the other. So you can synergize well, where if you've got a card, say you've got 4 moon runes in front of you, you've got a card that says flip 3 of these over and discard 1, and then you also have a card in your hand that is 3 sun runes, right? So you can do one and then it sets you up well to do the next one. And it's this constant edge adjustment kind of stuff to get yourself in the best position to be the most efficient. And those are the games that I love. That is a thing that is just, that's a mechanic that I really appreciate.
Yeah. And you happen to be really good at it too. But yeah,
that might be why I like it. I don't know. But yeah, so that is Carnuta, another really good game. Came out of PAX Unplugged. We didn't get it at PAX Unplugged, but it came out of that. I don't remember who the publisher. I mean, it's Asmodee. I don't remember what brand it is. Repos, maybe.
We played another one of the Grand Gamers Guild 18-card escape room games.
Yep. This time we did Journey to Tir na Nog.
It was fine.
It's fine. Yeah. So this is, again, 18 Escape series, right? Because they're not all holidays now, so it's not just holiday hijinks. I mean, I think the series in general is amazing.
Yeah.
This one wasn't the strongest, which is kind of unfortunate because it's a theme that I really like.
Yeah.
I feel like I like every theme. It really feels that way. I don't know. I'm super duper excited about the latest one that just came out. Did you see this? It was being advertised. The Chambered Nautilus. It's like Save the Chambered Nautilus. It's kind of like the Save one we did before. It is co-branded with NPR's Science Friday. How cool is that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he'd mind that I say this out loud. Mark's been wanting to do this for a while. Maybe not this specific game, but a co-brand because with an NPR show. Like, I'm super proud of him for this. Like, it's really, really awesome.
I believe he said that outright in his newsletter recently.
Great.
Announcing
I think he's like lifelong achievement unlocked or something like that.
It just, I mean, being able to brand up with a big name like that, and especially for an educational product, that's amazing.
Yeah,
so
I think $3
that's gonna be so cool.
out of every game sold is going to Science Friday or something like that. Like it's really, Mark's doing amazing stuff. The series is crushing it for him. Oh, by the way, P.S. he also won the Kennerspiel last year. Like NBD.
I know, right?
The guy's killing it. Super proud of Mark. He's a friend of the show. So great job with that one. Journey to Tir na Nog, not my favorite, but you know what? We've got a couple of holiday hijinks we're going to play next. So those will be good.
Yep. All right, we got one more on the list. Another one that is new to the podcast, but definitely not a new game.
Yeah, is this an obligate mention for me? Do you want me to talk about this?
Sure.
Okay, so we talk a lot on the Family Gamers about how people are like, well, how do I get my kids to like board games? And the answer is you don't. You kind of put stuff in front of them, and if they grok it, awesome, and you play games with them, and it rolls. Well, like 10 years ago, I wasn't as capable to answer that question in that concise of a way. One of the things I did was buy a bunch of games that I thought maybe I could play with my boys. And one of those was the game Super Duo.
I think we bought this from some indie developer really early in the days of the podcast because I looked at the date on the box, and the date on the box was like 2017 or something like that. Yeah.
So Super Duo is a card game. I tried to bring it out a couple of different times. It never landed. And eventually I was like, you know what, boys? Sit down. Mom, come here. We're playing this game.
This game was genuinely on the shelf of shame.
Yeah. So a little bit of how the sausage is being made. So Anitra has a job now. This is a new thing.
Yeah.
And so I've been like really aggressively like, let's get some stuff done that's been sitting around. And this is one of them before you start your new job.
Yes.
So congratulations to you, by the way.
Thanks.
You are amazing, as we all know. Yeah. So Super Duo is basically, it's a set collection game where there are 4 bad guys and everybody is collecting cards in their hands of different colors. And at some point, people will play a colored card against each of the bad guys.
Yeah.
They have to be unique. When someone plays a colored card on the fourth bad guy, they say, I am the superhero. And everybody can say, I want to be your sidekick, and show one card from their hand. From that one card, the superhero picks a sidekick. And every single one of the enemies has a number on it, which is basically a target number that you need to beat.
It's like a power, yeah.
Yeah, it's a power. And the goal of the superhero is that between their cards and the sidekick's cards, you have enough cards of each color in your collective hands to have enough power to beat all four of the enemies in their color.
Yes. If the superhero misjudges, what happens is that you leave the enemies out, you discard everything else, reshuffle.
You basically start over.
You basically start over, except the people who were not chosen as sidekicks or superhero get an extra card in their hand to start.
Yes. So that's the game. It's fine.
It was fine.
It's fine. We will be moving on from Super Duo.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, at this point, fine games don't live on our shelves anymore. So
yeah. I also think that when we bought this game, our boys would not have been capable of playing it.
I think that's true.
Like, not just Elliot because he was like 2, right? But also Asher, who there's an amount of strategy here of trying to figure out your chances based on what's in your hand and what you think other people might have.
Yes, that nuance is the one
It's
that I
tough.
didn't fully appreciate.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so that's Super Duo.
And I hope that the next person who gets it from us enjoys it more than we did. Really, like, it's a fun game.
All right. So that's it. That's the games that we've been playing in the last couple of weeks. It is time for us to do, Anitra, our monthly report for the month of July.
Monthly report.
Woo! Let's do the monthly report. All right, so I'll kick us off. I started July very strong. I hit an H index of 3 in the first week of July.
Yes, you did.
Which was amazing. But then I tailed off as usual. I have 21 games played in July, 13 unique games.
That's not bad. I have 35 total plays, 22 unique games. Because, of course, I played some games with the boys in my last few days before I start working.
Yeah, and they go to school. I mean, let's not forget that. So what is your H index?
My H index is also 3, but I have 4 games in there.
Okay.
Games I played at least 3 times are Little Alchemists.
Yep.
Same for you.
Which we have finished.
Yes. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game.
Yep.
Which you do as well.
Mm-hmm.
Unmatched and Palette.
All right. I actually, is this right? I don't have Unmatched on my list at all this month. Not even one time.
I believe all of my plays of Unmatched this month have been with Asher.
I believe you, because it's not on my list.
Yes.
I had the Four Doors at 2 plays. I feel like I've played it more than 2 times.
Well, you played it 2 times with me this month. Beyond that, I'm not sure.
I mean, maybe it's because it's been almost a week into the new month, so maybe I've played it in August. It doesn't really matter. But there we go. 67% of my games were played at home, and almost 50% of my games were played at 2 players. Those are like normal numbers for me at this point.
Yeah. 83% of my games were played at home.
Mm-hmm.
Almost 60% were played at just 2 players.
And the last stat that I will give you is 57% of the games that I played in the month of July were played on either Friday or Saturday.
I think that's about the same for me. Yeah.
If I add Sunday in, it goes from 57 all the way up to 71.
Wow.
So that, my weekend, 71%
definitely the
of
weekend.
my plays were on the weekend. Yes.
Fair enough.
That is my monthly report. My report for August is not looking so great, but it's the beginning of the month.
We got time. We got time. It'll be fine.
All right. Do you have anything else about your monthly report this month, Anitra?
Nah, I think it wasn't all that interesting. It just felt like I did a little bit better job playing games, mostly because you were pushing, let's try another escape room. Let's try this with the family. Let's try this with the family.
Do you regret
any
of it?
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Good.
So let's jump on into our community.
Okay, let's do it. Anitra, I think it is us and Elmo welcoming new people to the Family Gamers community this week.
That's a slightly scary Elmo. Like,
I loved it.
Breaking through the door.
Come on, I saw that animated GIF and I couldn't not take it.
Fair enough.
I mean, come on. Anyway, I'll get us started by saying welcome to Karen.
Welcome to Shah.
Welcome to Jack.
Welcome to Files.
Welcome to Vince.
Welcome to Tone.
Welcome to Michelle.
Welcome to Yalti.
That's
Maybe
what I would have guessed. I gave Anitra all the hard ones this month.
You really did.
And welcome to Caleb.
Thanks so much for joining our community, and we hope that you can talk with everybody else about the games you're playing in your life.
Yeah. What are you playing?
Yeah. With kids or otherwise.
Yeah, or otherwise. Or with Elmo. Like, whatever it takes, man.
Woohoo! I don't think that's an Elmo sound.
Rocco! That's an Elmo sound.
That's an Elmo sound. Does Rocco play games?
I don't know.
Maybe Elmo could play Shobu with Rocco.
Oh, that's interesting. Rocco is clearly an NPC.
Yes,
All
clearly.
Right. Tell you what, why don't we take a quick break now, and when we come back, we will look at our back talk before we jump into our topic for the week. How's that sound?
That sounds like a good plan.
All right.
All right.
Be right back.
And we're back.
All right. So, unlike usual, we're going to do our back talk after the break this time, and then we're going to jump right into our topic. Our back talk this week was not that big, I guess.
Yeah.
So, that's okay. That's fine. So, our question last week was, what's your best tricky story from playing board games? Or, any kind of epic board gaming story would have been acceptable here.
Yeah.
So, let's see. On Facebook, we only have one response from Nathan Jenny. Thank you, Nathan, for responding. He said, as luck would have it, my most recent tricky game story was playing Rebel Princess, which of course, we talked about on the show.
Yes, it is.
My family did not see me shooting the moon. I collected all the princes and the frog. By the time they realized it, I had only high-value prince cards in my hand. At that point, the only thing they could do is watch me take the last cards. That is like so delicious. It's like,
yeah.
I did the thing, the impossible thing. I did it. I love that. It's a great story.
Speaking of impossible things, we only have one response on the Discord as well. Our friend is Stefan, and he says, when I and my brothers used to play Munchkin, we took the go up a level cards literally.
Okay.
On one, I am not going to butcher this name, I'm just going to say my friend.
That's not fair. He castigated me for not saying Niedervedlir correctly, and you're going to skip this?
Yes, I am.
Man, listen, what I do for you on this show. Niedervedlir. Come on.
All right, I will try these names, and I will mangle them, but I will try. On one occasion, Fjolnir was about to advance to level 10, when Narfi played a go-up-a-level card that reads something like, or make the GM snort soda out of his nose to make any player go down a level. I, as the owner of the game, therefore the GM, took a big drink of orange soda, went over to the sink, and managed to do what the card demanded. That is my most memorable board game trick.
That is amazing. I love that.
He then adds that Fjolnir's girlfriend was up next and won the game, as we had used all our cards on stopping Fjolnir. But that's how the game usually goes anyway.
That is usually how that game goes down. I stopped playing Munchkin after, in 2 consecutive games of Munchkin, I was about to win, and multiple players attacked me and then simultaneously won the game.
Games where everyone won except you.
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. So that was the last time I played Munchkin, and that was at least 15 years ago.
Yeah. I will still say it can be fun with the right group and the right attitude.
It's a game.
Yes.
All right, so not a lot of answers to our back talk this time around. I do have another question. We'll get into that a little bit later. Hopefully, it'll be a little bit more interesting for some people, but we'll see.
Let's move on to talking about junior games or my first games. These are games that are taking a adult game that already exists in the world and then trying to strip them down to basics or to a simpler level so that kids can play it.
Yeah, so you've actually, I'm going to give credit to Anitra for putting a lot of the structure in our show notes for this, and I think this makes a ton of sense for us to go through it in exactly this way. So great job, honey.
Thanks.
So obviously these games exist to try to bring younger gamers into the hobby, right? The My First Game and the Junior Game, these are not for less experienced gamers. These are for younger gamers.
Yeah, usually.
When they do it well, My First Games follow the guidelines that we have already put out on thefamilygamers.com for very young children, while keeping games tolerable for older kids and adults. So famously, Anitra wrote an article
a long time ago.
And the article is called Why I Hate Candyland.
Yeah.
And you've actually edited this a couple of times over the years. And I would even go so far as to say you might be a little softer on Candyland than you used to be, but it's still a garbage game.
I would no longer call it a garbage game.
Okay.
But I would still refuse to play it.
A waste receptacle game? This is 2026.
Yeah, no. But in that article, I did lay out guidelines for what makes a game good for young children.
Mm-hmm.
For really young children, we're looking at games that keep the physical tasks very simple, like rolling a single die, or matching things, or maybe stacking things, or pulling things. Games that don't combine a bunch of those into a single action or move either. Obviously, these games should be using really durable equipment. Dice are great. Spinners, not so much. Tokens are good. If a game is using cardboard tiles instead of cards, those game designers know what's up.
Yeah. I mean, look, they might get chewed on, but that's okay.
Right, but
Better than a card.
They won't fall apart the first time a kid bends it the wrong way.
Right.
Another thing for very young children is that games need to be really short. Even a 15-minute game is going to be too long for kids who have not played games before. So really short turns, keeping people engaged the whole time, and a really short playtime, especially for the really young kids. We're talking like 15 minutes, but even for a 5 or 6-year-old who could have played some games before, you're not going to make it much more than 20 minutes before they lose interest for most kids.
Well, I think one of the things that's really, really important on here is actually the bullet you put last, which is don't combine challenging mental tasks into a single action, like color matching, with counting. It's
Yes.
match some colors or count some things, but
Yes.
not two things at once. And turns really have to be do a single thing.
Yes.
There might be options, but it's do a single thing. We've even seen it with our 12-year-old. If you give him 3 tasks in a row, you might get through 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, with a board game, it's a little bit different now, but it's really, really important to keep the attention focused on a single task at a time.
There are some games that do this well by kind of scaffolding you through multiple steps in a turn. I think of Monza, where you roll the dice and then you decide how you're going to move your car. But you can do that by literally setting out, okay, this die, and then I move the car here, and this die, and then I move the car here.
See, it's still one thing that you're doing, though. There's only one thing in which you're making a decision. There's only one thing in which you're engaging your brain to choose.
Well, and it's still kind of one thing at a time is, I think, the important part.
Yeah, but
there.
I think even sequencing can be problematic.
Yeah, it can.
Do this thing, and then do this thing, and then do this thing. If those are all make this decision, and then make this decision, and then make this decision, it's problematic. But rolling a die, which is a chance cube, and then making a decision in light of the result of that, I think that's fine.
Yeah. And our last big thing, which we've already alluded to for a guideline, is that you want to keep all your players on equal footing as much as possible. This means Candyland has shortcuts and penalties that are assigned randomly. That's terrible. But the more luck you have in a game, not necessarily shortcuts and penalties, but like, oh, sometimes you get to go further and sometimes you don't get to go as far. That kind of luck is great, actually, for older kids or adults playing with little kids, because it means that the little kids can see that they have hope to win the game.
That doesn't necessarily mean that you're avoiding the bad loser phenomenon or anything like that, right? That's a completely different conversation.
Yes.
But there's a recognition that comes along with, I threw it and it was a 6, or I threw it and it was a 2, or I threw it, whatever that thing might be.
Yeah.
And by the way, as we talk about these, and we'll come back to this a couple of times, but as we talk about these, if you've ever looked at those Board Game for All Ages B mods that we've talked about, you'll see a lot of these truths in those as well. So they're taking an adult game, a normal whatever game, and they're stripping away the multiple decision points, or they're stripping away the edge case rules and really simplifying.
Or some of the constraints that make decisions harder.
Right, exactly. And they're really trying to hone in on a kid's turn, there's one decision to make. And so all these other things that might make the decision a more difficult one to consider, that all gets removed and really simplifies and drives to the core mechanics of the game, which is essentially what you want to see a My First Game do or a junior game do. And so in that case, they're being achieved in a different way, which is just not really the topic of this particular episode, but it's interesting to see the same theme of simplification, and the methods of simplification are consistent across both approaches for creating games or adapting games for younger players.
Yeah. So not all My First or, junior whatever games are created equal. Some of them are trying to stay really, really close to the feel and the game mechanics of the original game.
Yeah. I actually think when they try too hard, the games suffer for that.
I do too. 2 examples that have come up in our life have been Catan Junior and Ticket to Ride My First Journey, or Ticket to Ride First Journey. I don't think either one of these goes so far that it is bad, but they do end up in this 6 to 9 age range where you're like, or maybe we could just play the original game with some slight modifications to bring a 6-year-old in.
Well, I think that's definitely true for Ticket to Ride. I think a 6 to 8-year-old can play Ticket to Ride with a bare minimum of help.
Right.
Once they've played Ticket to Ride,
Right.
first of all, their hands are the right size for the cards, unlike all the adults.
I know, right?
The game. So they're going to have an advantage there. But seriously, like, look, they're not going to be the most competitive player. And reality is that if you're playing a game with a 9-year-old and an adult, unless it's a pure luck-based game, like, the adult's going to crush the kid anyway.
Probably, yeah.
Playing a game like Ticket to Ride, the expectation is not your 9-year-old or your 8-year-old or your 7-year-old is going to be competitive. It's that they're playing the game with adults.
Right.
That's what they're doing. And so my first of it all, frankly, they didn't go far enough, in my opinion.
With both of those two games. Yes, I agree. So what I was going to say is both Ticket to Ride First Journey and Catan Jr. tried to keep a lot of the mechanics of the original games, but they aged it down by removing some of the other elements that make the grown-up game interesting.
Yeah.
Catan Jr. removes some of the trading mechanics, which I think is the right thing to do in that case, but there was still a lot of other how do you get the stuff you need and how do you pull together all of the resources for a thing and how can you trade them like with the board instead of with each other. And so it only made it a tiny bit less complicated while removing some of what makes Catan fun, which is the interaction between the players.
Right. First of all, I agree with you. I found playing Catan Jr. to be one of the worst slogs. Like, it was not fun as an adult. There was nothing fun about playing that game because it was too complicated for a 6-year-old. There was no really, like, motivating factor to play the game. It wasn't interesting to look at. They really, no pun intended, missed the boat because Catan Jr. is also boat-based.
It is pirate-themed.
It's so
But
weird.
It's not well done in being a pirate theme either. So I'm not going to go quite as far as you on this, but it just...
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. Catan for kids who can't read is really all it is, and it removes a bunch of the things that keep Catan interesting, despite its less than stellar art in the old versions and kind of a pain to set up the board with the modular setup. Like, all that stuff is worth it in the context of the game, and just removing those things doesn't actually make the game better.
Yeah, look, I would make the argument that you barely need to read to play regular Catan anyway. So, the idea of Catan for people who can't read, like, sorry, that one doesn't work for me.
Yeah. Well, for the cards and stuff. But
but you don't, like, they're soldiers. I mean, you don't really need text for most of the cards anyway. And if you did, get rid of those cards. We just talked about taking away the edge cases.
Right, exactly. So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the games that do this kind of thing, I would also include Monopoly Jr., which uses most of the same mechanics of Monopoly, just with a smaller board, and it's slightly nicer, less mean. They're not really a my first game. Like, they may be a junior version, but they're not a my first. They're a, hey, your kid starting grade school can play this game. We look at those games and say, hey, my kid starting grade school could play the real game.
Yeah. And look, these games that we're talking about, Catan Jr., and it's not, the junior of it all is not really what it is. It's not like junior is a step and then my first is below that. Like, it's just, they're all kind of the same. That game, TTR, although I feel less irritated about TTR, Catan I think is worse. Monopoly Jr., like you said, these are games that have lessened the gaming experience under this banner of making them simpler, but they don't make it any better. They just make it worse.
In trying to simplify it, they don't actually improve on it in a way that will help kids.
Right. I think the core here, we talked about first half of the show, we talked about how we would bring Splendor Kids back into this conversation.
Yes.
This is a perfect opportunity to do that as we transition from games we don't like into games that we do. Because Splendor Kids is not on our list of games that we are recommending in a few minutes. The thing about Splendor Kids that they did a great job with is the recognition that that game is, number one, all about set collection, and number two, all about engine building, right?
Yes.
They completely changed the core progression medium of the game.
Right, because now it's a race up the board.
If you took the name off and just looked at the static game setup, you didn't watch people play, you just looked at the static game setup of Splendor and Splendor Kids, you wouldn't immediately associate them.
No, I agree.
Right?
I agree.
And that's a really interesting thing, because if you look at Ticket to Ride, My First Journey, and you look at Ticket to Ride, you're like, oh, that's the same game, just simplified. Like, you instantly.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at Catan, it's a little bit harder to do that there, but, like, you're going to see the cards that are set up and you're going to see the resources, and you're like, okay, there's a lot of similarities there. They completely flipped the progression in Splendor while maintaining the engine building and the set collection, which are the two things that are the most important parts of the core game loop of Splendor.
Yes.
And so even as adults, like, it's a kid's game, right? So is it less gratifying than Splendor? Sure.
Maybe, yeah.
Sure, a little bit, right? Like, the decisions are still not that complicated. But you still hit the same dopamine triggers because you still collect the sets. You still weasel your way just past your opponent, right? One turn faster than them.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff. Like, when we played and I beat you, it was literally one turn.
It was
I
one
beat you
turn
by
away.
one turn.
Yeah.
All that stuff is the same in Splendor Kids. And we said there was one big change that made Splendor Kids so good for kids. And that was the progression mechanic, which they completely changed. In Splendor, it's abstract. It is an abstract concept that you are accruing these crowns.
And there's a really random nature to it because you don't know what kind of cards are going to come out that will help you get more crowns in the
To
future.
a degree, that's true.
Like,
right?
you can hedge your bets around it. Most adults don't have a problem with that.
But you're never moving down a path.
Right.
Right. You have to maintain this idea, right? And you have
Yeah.
a couple of icons on your cards,
Yeah.
but you don't have a really easy visual of, I am 75% of the way there.
Yeah.
Unless you look around and you take a few moments and do that stuff. With Splendor Kids, you're on a board. You are seeing it happen. It's very concrete.
Yeah.
All the gameplay loops are the same, but they've completely replaced the abstract progression mechanic with a very concrete progression mechanic.
Yes.
And that is fantastic.
Well, and that was the second part I was going to get to there, is not only is that progression more concrete, that you see yourself moving up the board, you can measure where you are and where your opponents are, but because of the nature of the board, you have a couple of paths, usually in front of any one spot, but you only have a couple of paths. So unlike in Splendor, where you're trying to earn cards and then you're hoping that more cards come out that will help you, you can literally look up your path that you're on in Splendor Kids and say, oh, I need to do this thing, and then after that, I'm going to have a choice of these two things, and then after that, if I go this way, I'm going to have a choice of this one. And
you have the capacity for that.
So an older kid can do that.
Yes.
And so this is one of the weird things where normally we say adding more luck is usually good for bringing kids into a game. This is one where in this one aspect of the game, they actually took a little bit of luck away and made it a little bit more concrete and easier for kids to understand because they can look at the path and see where they're going next.
Yes.
But it's only a little bit.
But there's still luck in the immediate game loop.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's the important part.
Yeah. So obviously, I would say this is probably one we would tentatively recommend.
I wouldn't even be tentative about it. I think if you're a family that loves Splendor and your kids see you play Splendor and they're interested in Splendor and you just don't think they can hack it at Splendor, which is acceptable. It is okay as a parent to be like, you know what, my kid can't play this game. They're not ready yet. Splendor Kids is a good option.
Well, and I think it is different enough than Splendor that you won't feel like, well, what's the point of having both of these games?
Yeah, because your kid can play it.
Right, but I just like, they're different enough that your kid is going to see them as somewhat different games, and that's a good thing, because some of these other My First games, once a kid has tried it once or twice, they'll be like, oh, but why wouldn't I just play Mom and Dad's game?
Okay, so what you're saying is it's different enough that the kids' version is actually going to have some longevity to it.
They'll play it more than 4 or 5 times and still be interested in playing.
I mean, I would also make the argument that these games are typically priced to a lower usage pattern, right? Like they're priced such that maybe with like a hobby game or something like that,
right.
It's not necessarily true, but like it's like $20 for a game, right? They're designed to be used a shorter period of time and not necessarily be an evergreen game in a given gamer's catalog.
And I think that's entirely true. But even with these My First games, if you're not even going to be able to hang on to it in your kid's interest for a year, I have a hard time recommending it. Not across the board, but like...
maybe. Yeah. I don't know. If you have multiple kids, that makes it pretty easy.
Yes.
Whatever.
Well, let me talk about some of my home run recommendations and you'll see the difference.
Sure.
So, My First games. Genuine My First games. There's a HABA line that's My First and My Very First that are designed for like 2 and 3-year-olds. I would, without hesitation, recommend Animal Upon Animal Jr., which is, it takes a stacking game that's already interesting, that kids can already do, and gives you bigger, chunkier pieces and a slightly easier game loop to understand for a little kid. And that's it. And since the base game is already so simple, this is pretty much the same thing, but just easier for hands to hold.
Okay, so help me understand then your concern about a short shelf life for a game that's similar, but then you're talking about Animal Upon Animal Jr., which is extremely similar to the base game.
Because Animal Upon Animal Jr., because it is a dexterity game, falls for me in the same category as like when we used to have Suspend Junior and now we have Suspend. These are almost identical games, but with a few materials changes that make it easier for a younger kid. And in doing that, it doesn't make it less fun to continue playing with as you get older. I've also seen people combine Animal Upon Animal Jr. with the original Animal Upon Animal, which I think is ridiculous, but kind of shows that there is a real progression there.
Okay. I mean, I just want to pull in the depths of it a little bit because we all know that every kid can do it by themselves.
Yes. I do it myself.
Yep.
But Animal Upon Animal Jr. is one of those where they really can do it themselves, especially if they're getting frustrated with the much smaller shapes that you see in Animal Upon Animal. This is one of those classics where young kids could play the full game, but if they're getting super frustrated, then that's not the right choice.
Sure, and I think a game like this, your kids are probably going to want to play the full game, and maybe can't, and then we'll have to go back, and there'll be some frustration, and that's okay.
Yeah, and Animal Upon Animal Jr. is one of those where I see, like, for most people, the longevity will be a year-ish. 2- and 3-year-olds will do the junior, and probably by the time they're 4, they'll be like, no, I want to do this one. But that's fine and normal. Another one that is an absolute home run is My First Castle Panic.
I mean, what I will say, before we even talk about the mechanics, is month after month, year after year, this is the #1 seller in our affiliates.
In our affiliate links, yes.
By
a huge margin.
Not an order of magnitude, but like by 100%. So like
almost twice as much as the next thing.
Yes, exactly. Almost twice as much as the next game. Just keep selling. This game is so fantastic.
Well, and I think this game does what you were talking about before. My First Castle Panic takes Castle Panic and says, what are the core ideas here and what makes this game fun? That is all we need. For a 4-year-old.
Yeah. And one thing that's actually really great about this game is something that we saw in Quest Kids, I think was the name of the game, where when you were fighting an enemy in Quest Kids, someone else could help you.
Yes.
And share in the victory, kind of. And in regular Castle Panic, there is the idea of trades because it is a cooperative game.
Yes.
But it's not kind of shown as a way to help the active player. Like it's just not presented in that way. It's not framed in that way. And brilliant. Justin DeWitt, brilliant move to frame it as helping one another. It's the exact same mechanic.
Yes.
It just has different words. It's like a palette swap on the mechanic, right? And now all of a sudden it is language and behaviors that we are actively trying to teach and model for our children, and they're getting reinforced in this game. These are the reasons why this game is so good, is because there's these minute adjustments that are just so perfect for the age range.
Yeah. So in My First Castle Panic, you can ask your friends for help. You're still matching up colors to defeat bad guys.
But you have one lane, and you have a combination of a color and a shape.
Yeah. It's a single path because a 4 or 5-year-old doesn't need the 6 different arcs and the 3 different rings.
And the die rolling and it gets rid of all that stuff.
All of that. Now it's just you have cards in your hand. On a normal turn, all of the monsters move forward 1. So you see what they're going to do next, once again.
Yep.
And do I have any cards in my hand that match any of the spots where a monster is? No, but I will next turn. All right, maybe I can help my friend next turn. Maybe they can help me this turn.
Yep.
And all of that goes together. It keeps the cooperation from Castle Panic. It keeps the progression of the bad guys. It keeps how you match the bad guys to take them down. It even keeps some of the thrill of not knowing how bad the bad guy is going to be because they have a couple of different variations on the little goblins or whatever.
And let's not forget, the gameplay loop involves putting the game away. It's part of the gameplay loop of the game.
As a parent, I love that.
Yes.
Every time.
Yes. My First Castle Panic was the first game that we walked out into the living room and our kids were playing it themselves.
Our youngest was playing by himself, specifically. Because I think in early days of the podcast, we talked about our older 2 kids playing Battleship alone with no adult.
Oh, that's true.
Which was pretty cool.
I think they also played Zombie Dice together.
Very possibly. But My First Castle Panic, absolute home run. And it does it keeping the same theme, keeping the same feel, keeping, similar kinds of artwork. But everything has just been friendlied up for a kid's audience. You're no longer killing the bad guys. You're just throwing them in jail.
In the dungeon.
And as we said, simplifying all of the mechanics that don't matter for a kid, that are too confusing for a kid, keeping all of the ones that do matter to keep it fun.
Yes.
And I have one more that I would say is pretty much a home run. And I was just as skeptical of this one as I was of my first Castle Panic when we first got it.
Mm-hmm.
This one is Dragomino, which has the subtitle of My First King Domino.
Yes. Yes, it does.
I will be very upfront that I was playing King Domino with a 4-year-old before Dragomino came out. So I looked at this and I was like, but why?
Yeah, but we had the same reaction with Castle Panic.
Right.
Of but why?
And the answer is, with Dragomino, number one, the theme is actually more accessible to a kid. That is number one on Dragomino. You are matching stuff to hatch dragons. That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in King Domino, you're matching stuff to make bigger areas. Woo! Yeah. Number two, the hatching dragon mechanic adds a whole bunch of luck. So that mom and dad may know that, matching better with the different colored areas is more likely to give you a dragon, but they can't guarantee it. And so it's a much more fair game. Like, I did play King Domino with little kids, but it was mostly an exploratory exercise because no matter how well they did, I'm really good at area mapping and multiplication, and I could definitely beat them every time.
Yeah.
Right? With Dragomino, I didn't have to worry about that. The luck really does balance out the playing field much better.
I mean, you're still winning most of the time, but that's going to be true even with most my first games, especially if you're a ruthless parent, which I'm not necessarily advocating for. I don't believe you should just let your kids win every game, but I don't think you need to crush them into dust either.
Yeah. Well, and Dragomino offers a slightly different opportunity for learning than King Domino does. I've always said King Domino is great for learning multiplication experientially.
Sure.
But Dragomino gives you a way to really point at probability because each different type of dragon that come from the different areas starts with a different number of possible eggs for you to choose from, but every color of area has the same number of dragons.
That's true. And again, kids aren't always going to be on an even playing field when we talk about playing these games.
Sure.
And that's fine. But there's some hope there.
Yeah. There are plenty more My First games out there and junior games, and some of them are better named and themed than others. What's the one I've heard of? The Everdell Junior or My First Everdell? I think it's My First Everdell.
I think so.
Is what it's called. And I have heard that the name on that one is deceiving because basically it just takes Everdell and strips it down to more of a medium light game. This is your My First Everdell, which is Introduction to Everdell for non-gamers, not really for children.
I see. Yeah, I don't know.
Could be for children,
I've
but
never played Everdell.
But not really the intent there. Mm-hmm. So we've been using this as a descriptor, not as a title you can expect to see on all the games, right? Like we just mentioned Dragomino.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really good to explore the reasons why a lot of these games do work well for bringing a game down younger. And it's keeping, whatever theme is interesting, keeping the mechanics that matter, throwing out the mechanics that don't. And when you do that right, you have a game that's still fun. Mm-hmm. And for most of these, maybe not Animal Upon Animal Jr., but for most of the other ones, you have a game that is still going to be fun long enough that it has staying power in your family past what you would think. My First Castle Panic is not going to get played by our 12-year-old, but I would have thought it would have only lasted for maybe a year, and it lasted for several.
I actually, I don't think we have our copy anymore. I think we gave it to the school or something.
We gave it to younger children.
Sure, that's fine. But I could totally see if we had it, one of our kids taking it out when one of our friends who has younger kids is here and be willing to play it with them.
Sure.
Because the game doesn't stink, right? But getting back to what you said about, we're not necessarily looking at a title, My First, whatever, Junior. Little Alchemists is a perfect example of a game where they basically cut the mechanics of Alchemists in half. They just ripped out all the worker placement stuff.
All of it.
It's gone. It's gonzo. And they majored on the deduction. Why? Because that's what makes Alchemists unique, really, truly unique.
Yeah.
And so now when you play through that and you're like, okay, I got the deduction, I understand how this thing works. Worker placement as a mechanic is fundamentally fairly straightforward, fairly understandable. You go to this place, you get this thing. So if a kid was going to flex up to playing the full game, it's a lot easier to add worker placement onto a deduction game than it is to add deduction onto a worker placement game.
Yes.
And so that's a really smart way they did that there. Not a My First game.
Yep.
clearly directed towards kids, had some app support, all those other things that it did, right? But it did a great job of it.
Yeah.
Another really good example would be what Lucky Duck did when they did the Quest for the Magic Stones or whatever it was, which is basically Chronicles of Crime for kids.
Kids Chronicles.
Kids Chronicles, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. It was look around using an app, notice some things, pick them up, use them in other places. The fundamental mechanics of Chronicles of Crime in a far more acceptable for children environment.
Yes.
Right? But it's not My First, it's not Junior, it's not Little, it's not any of those things.
Yeah. I'm thinking of other ones that we did experience when our kids were younger. There was the Kids of Carcassonne.
Meh.
Again, that's one where you look at Carcassonne and say, but maybe you don't need a kid's version, but it took some of the mechanics there and threw out others.
Yeah, it did okay.
It was fine. And there have been others in that vein as well. My First Stone Age completely threw out the worker placement once again, but sort of introduced the idea of being able to go different places to get different things.
Mm-hmm.
Collect sets of different things to build up your stuff. It was not a one-for-one analog with Stone Age.
Right, exactly.
But it introduced the setting and just a couple of the mechanics. And if your kids loved it, then you're like, great, now that you're really good at My First Stone Age, if you want, we can play Stone Age. Our kids never loved it. Our kids were like, this is fine, but I don't know why I'm interested in cave people. Can we please go play something with dragons now?
Well, they're teenagers, so maybe they're interested in the baby making hut now.
I hope not.
All right. Well, we've talked about a lot of games. The ones that we really loved here were Animal Upon Animal Jr., My First Castle Panic, Dragomino. These are the ones that we specifically called out. But our Backtalk question really dovetails well with this. Do you think My First games are a good way to introduce kids to board games? Or maybe just non-gamers to board? Maybe you have people like your stepmom who is just like, I am not a board gamer. Not militantly anti, but she's just like, I can't do this.
This is too much.
Would a My First game work for her or someone like that? So that's the question. Do you think My First games are a good way to introduce people or kids into board games? Why or why not? And as a little extra, what's the My First game that we didn't mention that you love?
Yeah.
So where, Anitra, can people tell us about those games?
The easiest places are going to be in our Facebook community, which is linked to in the show notes, or on the Backtalk channel of the Family Tabletop Discord, which is also linked to in the show notes.
They're not complicated. thefamilygamers.com/community, thefamilygamers.com/discord. Of course, you can always talk to us on social media. We are all over the place. You can find us at our handle at FamilyGamersAA for Andrew and Anitra. What are the places that people can find us?
Well, you can find us on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on Blue Sky, on Threads, sometimes on TikTok, once in a while on YouTube. You can listen to the Family Gamers podcast on YouTube.
That is true.
Up
You
there
can
every
also listen to the Family Gamers podcast on Apple Podcast or really any podcast subscription source. Please go ahead and subscribe to the show and tell your friends about the show. All those places where you can listen. You can also leave us a review. That includes Amazon Music, TuneIn, Spotify, and like Anitra said, YouTube Music.
If you're interested in supporting the Family Gamers and the work we do here with the podcast and the reviews and the other stuff, there are 3 easy ways to do it. First, you could pick up sweet merch from our store.
Sweet merch. Go to store.thefamilygamers.com. There's t-shirts and hoodies and mugs and stickers. And if you want something else that's not there, let me know because I could probably figure out a way to get it on there.
We can probably make that happen.
Yep.
You can also support us on Patreon if that's more your speed. We have different support tiers, which honestly go from $0 to $20 a month.
I am toying around with some exclusive Patreon subscriber content.
Yeah.
Anitra doesn't even know about it all.
Obviously, you can find that by going to thefamilygamers.com/Patreon.
It's a thing. It's what we do.
It is. Thirdly, if you want to support us, you could start your Amazon shopping at the Family Gamers website. We have an Amazon affiliate link on every single page.
Especially since Amazon got rid of Amazon Smile, which is like boo on Amazon for that, right?
Yeah.
Like you literally can't support a charity by shopping on Amazon anymore. So you can just consider us a charity. We don't mind. There's a big blue shop now button on thefamilygamers.com. Just go there, click that button. It'll shoot you right over to Amazon with our affiliate code, and then just shop like normal.
We would never tell you that you should be shopping on Amazon, but let's be honest, we know that you are shopping on Amazon. So please start some of those shopping trips at thefamilygamers.com.
And if you don't shop on Amazon, you should probably buy your games directly from the retailers that publish them. That would be like the best thing to do.
Or your friendly local game store, that's good too.
Yeah. Music for the Family Gamers podcast is provided with permission by prehistoric prog rock band You Bred Raptors.
And of course, the Family Gamers is still sponsored by First Move Financial. You should go to firstmovefinancial.com/familygamers because there you can learn how the team at First Move Financial will help you pile up the victory points in real life.
Thanks, as always, to First Move for sponsoring another episode of the show. So, we are going camping this weekend.
Yes.
Really, right before this podcast comes out. So by the
Sure,
time you hear
yes.
this, we'll have gone camping.
The past is the future.
I
The future is the
expect
past.
that we will have fun camping stories, but I'm definitely going to bring some games to make you play them.
Sounds good.
All right. So until next time, everybody, play games with your kids.